This is the actual audio of the boos that the Harkles received.
It's turned into a debacle.
As always.
There's always a hoorah whenever he is here.
Yeah.
What people don't realise, he's been here 6 times in the last few years with no problems really in security.
It's Jamageddon as Meghan Markle faces a genuine bankruptcy crisis. And I believe the total collapse of this disastrous business explains why she now wants to return to the UK with her tail between her legs.
I don't think she wants to be on the arm of a loser. And what does Meghan Markle do when Harry's going through difficult times publicly? She disappears.
Yes, I mean, honestly, this has not lifted my mood at all. The Sussexes have won. Meghan Markle, Paul Murray, back on royal property. And it's my understanding that William's furious about this.
The door was open, then it was closed. You talk about a woman bringing the ghetto into the royal family. This right here is on full display ghetto what is happening.
Prince Harry arrived in the United Kingdom on July 7th with his wife and children supposedly by his side, or at least that is what many of the headlines wanted everyone to believe. 5 days passed in one country, and by the time it was all over, only one member of the family had actually appeared in public. This was meant to be about honoring the veterans.
About the veterans.
Meghan's silence is deafening, and not even whereas quite often when we see William and Catherine do something, up pops something from the Sussex.
Harry seemed to be everywhere. Cameras followed him at the Invictus Games one-year countdown event in Birmingham as he shook hands, shared jokes, and appeared completely at ease in front of the cameras. He was also photographed visiting hospitals, meeting with veterans, and even taking part in a wheelchair rugby session for the reporters who had traveled there hoping to catch a glimpse of him.
Saw Harry giving something to the members of the Ugandan delegation who will be competing there next year, doing the work around promoting it, which he's good at.
Yeah.
But he's much better at it when he's on his own.
And on Friday afternoon, away from the public eye, Harry reportedly took his children to Highgrove House so they could see their grandfather for the first time in 4 years. Meghan Markle was absent from every part of it. She did not make a single public appearance, no photographs of her emerged, and she did not make any public statement. She had originally been expected to join Harry at 2 events during the week, but later withdrew, saying that security concerns were the reason.
We're supposed to have been with him this week at 2 engagements, but she pulled out, citing security concerns. I don't think Meghan particularly wants to build any bridges with the UK or the royal family here.
Her office confirmed the decision several days before the trip even started. The Duchess of Sussex would not be joining her husband at any of the public events that had been planned during his visit. According to multiple reports, the official explanation for her absence was based on security concerns.
Days before Harry's expected return to Britain, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, aka RAVIC, has reportedly declined requests for additional security for this trip, throwing into question whether Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily will make the trip after all.
According to reports, the long-running discussions over state-funded security for the couple had failed to produce any agreement, so her team decided the safest approach was to remove her from the travel schedule completely. On the surface, that explanation sounds perfectly reasonable.
Oh, no. Whoopsie daisy. We didn't get the security that we wanted, so yeah, now the kids and Meghan aren't going.
Britain removed the couple's taxpayer-funded security in 2020 after they stepped away from their roles as working members of the royal family. Since then, Harry has spent years and a considerable amount of money challenging that decision in court, only to see one appeal after another rejected. The reality is that Harry made the decision to leave his royal duties, and he also chose to leave the United Kingdom and build a new life in North America.
Harry chose to leave royal duties and chose to leave the UK and live in North America, and as a result, he was not entitled to round-the-clock security, and that is a decision he made.
If the government was not willing to guarantee her safety while she was in Britain, why would she choose to step into a crowd of photographers at the NEC in Birmingham? Why would she stand beside her husband at a public countdown event surrounded by wheelchair athletes, members of the media, and photographers positioned only a short distance away?
The Duchess of Douchebag has pulled out, so she decided She was never going to go. She's pulled out of the one-year countdown to the Invictus Games in Birmingham, and that is for tomorrow.
This is where many people following the story believe things become difficult to understand. If security was truly the main concern, then that same approach would have needed to apply in every situation without exception.
Though, looks like that doesn't matter now, as Hazard is trying to explore all his options to try and still get Megxie and the kids back to the UK.
She was still in Britain with her children. According to the reports, she also made the journey to Highgrove House for that private visit with King Charles. The only difference was that no one saw her in public. Do you think any family photographs from that meeting will ever be released?
Do you think there will be any family photographs? Do you think anyone will be allowed to take any proof that they were actually there? And if not, why?
Which naturally raises the obvious question. If she felt safe enough to bring her children into the country, safe enough to visit a royal residence for tea, and safe enough to travel across Gloucestershire without any reported problems, then what exactly made the public appearances different?
If he brings the kids, I think if Meghan and the children had not come, and I only say Meghan and the children because the children would never have been allowed anywhere without Meghan.
So what exactly made the Invictus Games event, surrounded by charity staff, veterans, and a carefully managed group of accredited reporters, the one place considered too dangerous for her to attend? Royal commentators have been discussing this apparent contradiction for days.
I've never seen a media event in a space that large with no people. And of course, Harry was, he had just come from a hospital because that's what they all do.
They point out that Meghan has spent much of the past year building a lifestyle brand that relies heavily on staying in the public eye.
Seems to be a pivot to mask potential low interest in attendance, or, as I suspect, to pressure taxpayer-funded
cooking segments and a carefully polished public image. She has remained highly visible. Yet when the opportunity came for cameras to capture her standing beside her husband in support of a military charity, she was nowhere to be seen. To some observers, the entire situation appeared highly orchestrated and carefully planned from beginning to end.
The most staged thing I've ever seen. All of this is so incredibly staged. It's not authentic at all. It's so incredibly fake.
The very country where the tabloids she spent years challenging were closely following her every move, she chose to remain completely out of sight. Because of that, some people have questioned whether managing the public image of the visit mattered more than the security concerns themselves.
Private security bill is unreal. I think at some point the public will start asking whether Harry and Meghan are funding safety or actually funding status.
She had appeared publicly, she could have faced unfavorable headlines, uncomfortable comparisons with Catherine, and difficult questions about the family divide that she and Harry have discussed publicly for the past 6 years.
I think it can only do Meghan's reputation good in the States, and I think it would help her expand brand Meghan, which is what she wants to do.
Because she's always been seen as this, antagonistic, causing lots of troubles in the royal family.
By staying out of the public eye, Harry became the central figure of the visit, appearing as the son reconnecting with his ailing father while introducing his children to their grandfather for the first time in years and carrying the emotional focus of the entire trip himself. As many have pointed out, Charles is not only a father, but he is also the king.
He is a father, okay? But he is also the king. He is also the king. And the father side of all of this looks at Harry, his son, and he's like, okay, I need to see my son.
Meanwhile, she remained completely out of the spotlight, untouched by the criticism and safely removed from any fallout if something about the visit attracted negative attention. It had been 4 years since people in Britain had last seen her properly in public. She spent 5 days on British soil, yet still managed to stay entirely out of view. To many observers, Meghan Markle appeared completely unfazed by the situation.
Meghan Markle is not sweating right now. According to Vanity Fair, Prince Harry is, and he's near tears.
Was it truly a genuine security precaution that simply resulted in her being absent from every important photograph, or was it a very convenient form of staying out of sight? Some commentators argue that if you look closely at Harry's long-running focus on security, it may have more to do with the emotional impact of feeling less connected to the monarchy than with the actual level of security risk he faces.
About just the bruised ego Harry has. Everything regarding security, I think, has much more to do with Harry and his ego and not being relevant to the monarchy as much anymore than it really does his actual inherent security risk.
Meghan Markle has faced documented threats in the past, and law enforcement has acknowledged that there have been credible security concerns directed specifically toward her, rather than only the general risks associated with being connected to the royal family.
Serious, credible threats against Meghan were there emanating from the far right.
Absolutely. So there is a reasonable and defensible way to view this situation, where she simply was not prepared to risk her personal safety for the sake of a photograph, no matter how valuable that public appearance might have been. Even so, many people who are sympathetic to that explanation still find themselves questioning the timing of it all.
No one is saying, Harry, this threat is entirely imaginary, right? We understand that there are people who want to kill you because you've said incredibly stupid things in your book.
It all unfolded during the very same week that Prince Harry lost his high-stakes privacy case against the publisher of the Daily Mail, a legal battle that has reportedly left him and his fellow claimants facing costs believed to exceed £50 million. Part 23. It also happened during the same week that several media outlets reported Meghan had personally told her husband that he needed to, in her words, step up financially. At the same time, reports claimed that her lifestyle brand, as ever, was facing speculation over potential losses of around $5 million.
Earlier this week, he lost his court case. £50 million along with some other people. I was thinking Elton John, David Furnish, a couple of other people. Again, we sit here and we go, I mean, he called it a travesty of justice. He said it was a whitewash.
Reports also claimed that traffic to her United States website had fallen by more than half since December, while Netflix had quietly stepped away as an equity partner earlier in March. When all of those developments are viewed together, they create a picture of Meghan Markle having more reasons than usual this month to carefully manage exactly.
According to Rob Shooter, has revealed that Meghan has said to Harry, you've got to start earning some dough. Because, of course, we know that Meghan is a very ambitious person. She's quite
a complicated court case, a brand facing visible challenges, and a husband whose finances were receiving more public attention than they had in years all came together at the same time. Right in the middle of it all was an invitation to stand beside reporters at a highly public charity event. Against that backdrop, some observers questioned whether stepping into that spotlight was a risk worth taking.
According to the New York Post, she is also facing low visitor numbers to her site, which is also why they're having low sales. So the site brought in 213,000 visits in February. It recovered slightly in March with 226,000 visits, but fell again in April with 178,000 visits.
At an event where almost every question from the media would likely have shifted away from wheelchair rugby and focused instead on money, the marriage, and a business that many reports claimed was no longer performing as well as it once had.
We're broke. And what? He's got £4 million worth of sponsors. I mean, Paula, what else is he doing? Like, seriously, Harry, this is your full-time gig and you're asking the taxpayers for 26 mil and you've only been able to come up with 4 mil.
Here is the detail that has continued to appear throughout comment sections and royal commentary discussions all week. Meghan did not avoid the trip altogether. She only stayed away from the public events, while reportedly taking part in the private side of the visit.
It's all coming home to roost that people are saying, well, you know, what is their real purpose? You know, selling jam or selling themselves, or what is it, you know? I think people are entitled to ask.
She took part in the portion of the visit where there were no photographers, no reporters, and no follow-up questions waiting. It was the private family gathering where King Charles reportedly welcomed his grandchildren into his home for the first time in 4 years and, according to the accounts that emerged, warmly welcomed her as well.
You know, he wanted to see the grandkids. Meghan, of course, had to go because she wouldn't let those kids out.
So it was not a security decision that kept her away from Britain itself. Instead, it appeared to be a decision about which part of the visit she wanted her name associated with, the quiet, personal, and sympathetic family moment at Highgrove.
So, I have been made to understand Charles and Camilla were very happy to meet.
Not the part with cameras, veterans, and a media presence that could have led to difficult questions she has faced for the past 6 years. Some royal commentators believe this reflects the same careful approach to managing her public image that Meghan has followed ever since stepping away from the royal family.
It's her entitlement. She's allowed to do that. Breaking no laws is complicated here because she's still acting like a royal, but yet she's profiting like a private.
Yeah, that was a no.
She stayed out of sight whenever the attention was at its highest, allowing Harry to face the public scrutiny surrounding his reconciliation with his father while keeping her own image untouched, unseen, and removed from the version of the story that might not have reflected well on her. Some commentators believe this could be interpreted as a sign that she is being welcomed back into the royal circle, although others are far more skeptical. They argue that this is exactly the narrative the Sussex camp would want people to believe. Others strongly disagree with that view. They point out that a woman who has faced genuine and well-documented security threats does not owe anyone an explanation for choosing to protect herself and her children instead of appearing in front of cameras. They note that many of the credible threats directed at Meghan came from extremist groups and that anyone exposed to that kind of abuse and online hostility could understandably feel under constant threat. From that perspective, not every decision made by a public figure has to be part of a carefully planned branding strategy. Sometimes the desire for privacy is simply genuine. The challenge is that both of these explanations cannot fully exist side by side, and that is exactly why this story continues to generate debate. Others maintain that Harry has legitimate reasons to seek armed security while visiting the United Kingdom because they believe the risks he faces are real. After 4 years away from Britain, 5 days back on British soil, and with the world's attention focused on the visit, the one person many people expected to see remained completely out of the camera's view. Please like this video and subscribe.
That she would have been able to control every word and image in that interview.
Well, yes, because Meghan is an absolute control freak, and therein lies the problem, actually. She wants to be in control of every aspect of her life.